In today's video, I want to talk about 3 tech products that go with me on a daily basis. The first one being my Apple Watch Ultra. Second up, my iPhone of choice, the 13 mini. And last but not least, the iPad of choice, the iPad mini 6. Now there is a 4th tech product I do bring with me every now and then, but because it's not an everyday item, we'll talk about it at the end. So first and foremost, let's talk about the Apple Watch Ultra. Now before the Apple Watch Ultra, I was on a Series 4 and I just kept waiting year after year to get that good enough of an upgrade so I could change my watch. With rumors finally growing that the Apple Watch was going to get a design change, that got me really excited because I wanted something different, something new, something fresh, right? And finally with the Apple Watch Ultra, even when it was announced, I wasn't sure if it was going to be right for me. Nonetheless, I ordered it and got it, and I've just been so happy. I did a 3-month review, which I'll link down below for you to check out. And in that, I talked about how much I love this watch. And that is even more so true now. Now that it's been, I believe now 6 months since I've had the Watch Ultra. Now, I know a lot of people got caught up on the price and who's it for. You know who this watch is for? I don't think it's for those ultra athletes. I think for those people, they still need more capabilities out of their fitness watch. If they're hiking Mount Everest or doing all sorts of crazy adventures, I don't think this watch is for those people. I think this watch is just like buying the top-end iPad Pro or the top-end MacBook Pro or the best desktop Mac, which is the Mac Studio at the moment. Now, the other challenge everyone had with this was the price. That's another thing that I just don't think it makes sense, right? It's kind of like everybody got stuck on the AirPods Max's price too. The price of the Apple Watch Ultra shouldn't matter. Reason being is that if you're upgrading after a long time, and if you're going to be keeping this watch for a very long time, like I did with my previous watch, then this will be worth it. The other thing is that people get all sorts of expensive things. I see people wearing expensive sneakers, expensive watches that have capabilities that they don't need. These things are all a part of your personality. So if the Apple Watch Ultra fits you and what you want from an Apple Watch, then you should definitely get it. The price isn't something that should be holding you back. Now let's talk about what I love about the Apple Watch Ultra. First and foremost is the battery life. The battery life is absolutely excellent. Now my day starts at 3 in the morning. 3 in the morning it comes off the charger and then I don't get back into bed until 9:30. At 3 in the morning I have to pack up my orders for my online store, do all of that, go to the post office, all of this before starting my day job. Now when I get home in the evening I keep the watch on, and finally when I get into bed at 9:30, by that time, the watch has only burned through 20 to 30%, depending on how much activity I had throughout the day and other notifications and etc. But the most that it's burnt through the day is 30%, which easily gives me 2 days. Now, I don't put it on the charger at nighttime. I just leave it on my bedside. I was doing sleep tracking for a while, but I don't want to keep the watch on at night too. So I just leave it at my bedside, and it's usually every second day that at the end of the day, I'll throw it on the charger and I'll charge it. So battery life, I think that depending on your usage, you can easily at least get 2 days, 2 full days, which is great because when you're traveling and you have those long days and you can't always charge your watch, that is something I struggled with before. I'm definitely not worried about that anymore. My second favorite thing about the Watch Ultra is the display size. I love the larger display. Not only does it make easier for things to be read, but it's also easier to tap on any of your complications. Like for example, before I was on the lock screen, I would often tap something and I would hit something else. So that wasn't good. Now I don't have that issue. Even in the car when I'm listening to a random song YouTube Music has played for me and I want to give it a thumbs up or thumbs down, I can easily do that without really having to focus on it. I also like the larger buttons. They also make everything easy including the action button, which I've tied to a workout. So the watch with its larger face size and larger battery, absolutely two things I love. Now, the last thing I love is the fact that this ceramic casing of it is great to go with any kind of color band. Like I've had dark leather bands, I've had lighter leather bands. I absolutely love using the silver Milanese loop with it because this, I think, out of all the bands I own, looks the best with it. But regardless of the band that I've put on here, they all seem to look great. And that's another thing that I wasn't really sure about in the beginning, but I'm happy because I can rock this with all sorts of outfits. My day job requires a business casual look, and this fits in perfectly. So the Apple Watch Ultra, if you've been on the fence, if you're looking for a watch that has good battery life, larger display size, can go with you almost anywhere. So even if you are an adventurer, you won't have to worry about, your watch not being able to withstand the elements. It'll do that. And at the same time, it works with a lot of the bands that you already have or that you are probably looking at. The Apple Watch Ultra for me is an easy recommendation to anyone, especially if you're not somebody that's going to be changing your watch all the time and you're going to keep it for a long time to come. Now, the next item on the list is my daily driver iPhone, which is the iPhone 13 mini. A few things that I love about this right away is, first of all, the size. This is how easy it is to hold, maneuver in your hand, easily operate it with one hand. The only downside that I have about this phone is probably its battery life. The fact that on days where you do use it more or are doing a little bit more intensive things like maybe playing a few games or using some apps that require a little bit more juice, on those days you're going to have some trouble getting through the day. But I always keep a battery pack on me, and that's fine. I'd much rather just enjoy the everyday portability aspect of it, the one-hand usage. It's all too great. And what I also love is that this is actually a small phone that doesn't come with a ton of compromises. The camera is good enough. A lot of what you watch here is filmed with the 13 mini. So the camera performs great for me, and I really think that for an everyday phone, whether you're a parent, you're a student, anybody else, right? I think for the majority of the people, this is actually a great device. One that is easy to handle, will have enough battery life for the most of you out there, and at the same time, you don't have to have a camera that's not good. You have a good camera, whether you're recording videos or photos, it's all going to look great. The iPhone 13 mini by far is my favorite. The only thing that I'm actually disappointed with is the fact that Apple is not going to continue this for now. So I really hope that in the future, eventually we get a 14 mini or a 15 mini, whatever they're going to call it. It'll be really nice to actually have an iteration, a new iteration to the 13 mini. Now, last thing I want to mention when it comes to the 13 mini is the Apple golden brown leather case. This was very light before. For those of you that watched that video, it's aged really well. It's got all sorts of scuffs and dings from where I've dropped it. Now, speaking of dropping your phone, always, regardless of the phone you have, always put a glass screen protector here on the front, simply because when you drop your phone, like I have before, you'll only crack this and you'll save the actual glass of your phone, which is expensive. And even more expensive is if you break it all the way through to the display. So keep your phone protected with a slim case and a glass screen protector, and I think that's more than enough. I do have a full review video of this, a long-term review, so I'll link that down below for those of you that want to check it out. But for now, we are going to move to what complements the 13 mini so well is my iPad mini 6. I recently just did a video talking about why I love this iPad, and that video I will link down below for those of you that want to check it out. But in short, the iPad mini 6 is that perfect size of an iPad. It reminded me of what an iPad used to be, right? just that perfect in-between device. This has enough power and enough real estate to get done most of everything that you'll want to do. If you're a student, I also love the fact that this is compatible with the Apple Pencil Generation 2, so you can easily take notes or draw in Procreate, whatever it is that you might want to do. This is with me on a daily basis because this is basically an extension of the 13 mini. When I see certain videos that I'm like, nah, I really want to actually sit down and watch this, that's when I save it later and watch it on here. It's also, having the 13 mini and then also the iPad mini 6, these both have really reduced my daily usage of tech in general. Having that small screen on a day-to-day basis just kind of forces me to watch things later, to do more important things later, and then I come to this. So in between these two devices, I have an average of like 4 to 5 hours of screen time between both of them. So these two complement each other really well. And this is the perfect portable sized iPad. A lot of you have been asking me about iPad mini 7 and whether or not you should get this or whether you should wait because that might be coming later this year. To all of you, I would say if you want to buy this right now, just go for it. Because the iPad mini 7, I really think is only going to bring an incremental bump. The Pro iPad that I was using before this was several years old, like 5-6 years old. It was running just fine. But what I will say is that do check and decide based on your needs. If you're really going to be running like intensive things on this iPad, then yeah, within a year or two, this might slow down for you and you might want to have a processor that's more capable. So you might want to just sit and wait for that iPad mini 7, which has a little bit of an improved CPU, which will help you in the long run. But for me and what I do, this is more than enough. I really don't see myself having any kind of issue in the long run with this iPad. Overall, from its performance to its portability to its Apple Pencil compatibility, I really love the iPad mini 6. I really don't think that you can go wrong. And this, to me, is the perfect iPad. Now, last but not least, let's talk about that fourth item, the M1 Pro 14-inch MacBook Pro. Now, the reason I did include this as a main item is simply because it doesn't travel with me every day. I only take it when I know that I'm going to need a computer. Otherwise, my iPad mini 6 is more than enough to handle those like in-between things I need to do between being here and being on the go. Now, my MacBook Pro is really capable of getting done anything I need to do, from video editing to any work-related stuff. It handles everything. And I really think that for the majority of the people, you should go out and buy the MacBook Air. The M2 MacBook Air, I think, is more than enough for 90% of the people. The rest of everybody, if you're really looking at a pro laptop, this base model is more than good for you. I have no trouble doing anything that I need to do. My M1 Mac Mini, which this actually replaced, was more than capable. But the only reason I kept waiting and I kept holding on to it is because I was waiting for the MacBooks to get that proper upgrade before I switch. And so that way I know that I'll be good for a long time to come. So that's the case now. I'm good for a long time to come because nothing I've done has even caused this MacBook to hiccup. So I really think that if let's say you're a student and this summer you're going to get out of high school and you need a new MacBook, I really think the MacBook Air is what you should look at. And if you're really stuck on getting a Pro model, then just go for the 14-inch M1 Pro base model. You'll be more than good. I have iCloud Drive and I also have an external drive. That is where everything goes. So I never even have come close to using the internal space simply because I don't do anything that is placed on that internal hard drive. So the M1 Pro base model MacBook Pro is perfectly fine for me, and that's the one I would recommend if you really want a Pro MacBook. I love it. It doesn't go with me on a daily basis, simply because I don't need it on a daily basis. And that's why I was kind of iffy as to whether or not I should put it in my everyday essentials. Because I could have done a whole bag video and stuffed everything possible in there, but I don't need to do that. The 3 items that are with me every day: iPad mini 6, 13 mini, Apple Watch Ultra. These are more than enough to get done everything I need to do. Thank you so much. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Again, the independent videos for all of these items I will link down below in the description. And any accessories I talked about, the accessories I've mentioned before for the iPad mini 6, some leather bands, I'll put all of that down below so you can check it out for yourself. Thanks for your time. Take care, and I will see you in the next video.